Okay. Good morning.
Morning.
Yeah, it's so good to see everybody. Welcome to Wellspring. My name is Jean Marie Geringer, and I am part of your June 1st, 2025 Sunday service team. Now we have a few announcements. Early Birds meets Sunday mornings at 9:30 via Zoom. Link is on the weekly email and on the website. And there we go. Upcoming speakers for June. Today, we have our very own Dr. Edward Burlbaw. Huh? Baba Burlbaw, but not a black sheep. Okay, on the 8th, we have Reverend Sandy Scott. On the 15th, we have Doug and Tina Bailey. And on the 22nd, Reverend Kamatara, who is, as of yesterday, moved in to her little casita she's renting in Las Cruces. And on the 29th, we have Donna Stryker. Thursday evening group continues to meet at 7 here in the social hall or on Zoom. Get your coordinates from Cleona or Edward. I'm a member of that group, and for those of you who've thought about it, it really is a wonderful little exercise. We take a segment from something interesting off a Gaia network and play it and then converse about it. And we find out a lot of good things that we employ. It's really a wonderful little group. Okay, and we have a June outing, Saturday, June 7th. We'll meet at the church at 7:30 a.m. Okay, for all of you who are meeting at 7:30 a.m. to carpool up to Space Murals Road to gather labyrinth rocks. Upon our return after unloading, we will go for brunch. Okay, I might think about that. That's this Saturday. And we have a book by Dr. Juan Robles, My Alchemy Journey into Holistic Health. It's a memoir of wisdom, healing, and transformation. Amazon reports that drawing from a lifetime of experience, his alchemy journey into holistic health is more than a memoir. It's an invitation to explore the deeper connections between health, spirituality, and the natural world. Full moon celebration, my kind of deal. It's usually in the evening. June 12th, and I am assuming he will be back by then, to contact Dr. Robles for information. Our prayer team remains ready to serve and support you. You may submit a request via our webpage or give it to Edward. Our prayer team meets virtually every Tuesday afternoon at 4:15 to pray with you. You may consider sitting in your quiet space during that time. We know that we are one in spirit, and the energy of prayer knows no limits. I get to ring our beautiful home. That's nice. So beautiful, I don't want it to stop. Invocation. Through Source, we purposefully create a sacred space here and now in our Wellspring home. We ask that any energies present which are not beneficial be modified by Spirit, making them beneficial for all and everything, seen or unseen, in or entering this area. We ask for the presence of the divine for this gathering, whether we are here in person, or remotely. May source, however each of us know it, however each of us call it, come to each of us and through us, and to whom all we encounter, and from them to who all they encounter, onward, and so to the whole world. And in this wave of divine energy, we are each lighted love, helping ignite that light in all and everything. Please stand if you are able for our song of joy. And we are so happy to have Barry back on the piano, and the piano's so happy. Thank you. Now let's read together our vision, mission, and affirmation. Our vision: to elevate spiritual consciousness in our world. Our mission: to support individual quests through celebration, study, counsel, and loving fellowship and service. Our affirmation: I shine brightly as a vessel of light and hope, knowing I am one with the infinite. Every action I take is guided by divine wisdom and intention. I joyfully celebrate the boundless potential of this moment and all that is yet to come. And now we have special music from Barry. Did you want to talk about your selection?
Sure, I could. So today I picked out a song from Wicked. And if people know the story, they know that what happens is Elphaba has always been an outcast. She's been green, she has had a tough life, but then she becomes popular in her school that she goes to. And she discovers that's not who she really is down deep, that she's actually needs to live by her own convictions and not by the world's idea of what people should be living by. So I picked out this song because I thought it's really a beautiful way of her recognizing this. And you'll hear a little bit of the turmoil in the middle of the song, and it's followed by Defying Gravity, which I won't be playing today, but it's just that she has learned to defy gravity.
so beautiful. Really, really beautiful. I'm going to preface my reading for today to let you know how it came about. I was having a very, very difficult time with a friend of mine who I was trying to help, and a group of us were. And it seemed like no matter what we did or how we were trying to get into it, everything seemed nebulous, like there was something big running everything that we just didn't know. So in my morning contemplation time, I have a stack of our old magazines. I did the drop method, let them fall down. This one came to me, and then leaf through it to see where it stopped, to see what I could get for inspiration. And that will be the reading for the day. And it is called, What is Going On Here? I thought this was so applicable to all of us at some time or another that we wanted to share it. In the preface, Albert Einstein is quoted, "The important thing is not to stop questioning. Curiosity has its own reason for existing." And then from Ernest Holmes, in his 365 Days of Richer Living, "I know that the changeless abides with me. I am calm and peaceful in the midst of confusion. I know that nothing moves the soul." And now our reading. Confusion is a universal experience, but it is not one that has any grounding in spiritual truth. Clarity, divine intelligence, wisdom, intuitive thought, these are spiritual attributes and ways of being that we can call on when we are temporarily confused by life's circumstances. My prayer partner, I could look and see who wrote this. Who wrote this was Reverend Dr. Michael Gott. My prayer partner and 2018 practitioner meritorious honoree, Maggie Cole, has a simple prayer she uses in these times, which I have also taken for my own practice. Show me what's here. So the prayer is simply, show me what's here. It's at once a demand upon the higher mind and a humble request. To me, it means that when I don't have enough information in my human knowing to make sense of something, I call on the deep inner wisdom that will guide me. To reveal clarity out of confusion often requires humility. We might need to release our attachment to form or outcome. We might need to shift our perspective, or even to let a dream die a peaceful death. But then something amazing will happen. We will find some treasure hidden in the mess of it all. Some important healing will occur in our belief system. Or we will find freedom from troubling pattern that has been with us for decades. Gold will be revealed among the ashes. You see, everything is working together for your own good, uniquely and perfectly for your soul's evolution. Show me what's here. The gold will be revealed if you are willing to find it. The affirmation for this reading was, in this moment, I release attachment and limited vision. I open to seeing my life from a higher spiritual reality. I receive the information and perspective I need for my growth and my blessing. So I read that a few times with deep concentration and in a prayerful state. And within a day or two, indeed, found out what was going on there. And it is definitely nothing I expected and has called upon all of my spiritual abilities to deal with it. But I know what's happening, and we all have the abilities to do it. Very powerful little reading that I'm sure applies to everybody at some time or another. And now we are wonderfully waiting for Dr. Edward to come and give a wonderful message.
Well, good morning. You remember one of my favorite expressions, right? Expect amazing. All right, just enough said. So today's talk is called The Parable of the Two Seeds, S-E-E-D-S, seeds. And the story goes this way. There was these two seeds. One was a lettuce seed and one was an onion seed that were planted somewhat near one another in the garden by the gardener. And now each of these seeds found themselves in the midst of plenty of moisture, good soil. The sun was bearing down, warmed the soil. They began to sprout a little bit. And then finally, each of them, the lettuce and the onion, sent their sprout above the dirt. At that point, they began to have a bit of awareness of the world outside of themselves. Prior to that, they were just this little seed in the dirt and knew nothing else. So as they began to grow and they looked around into the world that was around them, the onion plant looked over upon the lettuce plant. He said, the lettuce, his leaves are so fine, kind of crinkly lace around the edges. All I am is this kind of green shoot. Meanwhile, the lettuce plant looks around at the onion and says, "Ah, how beautiful this gorgeous shoot, just perfectly in shape, rounded, thin. I've kind of got these little leaves, kind of not much definition or character to them. Wow, wish I could be more like that." So they continued growing. The onion plant continued to grow tall, very little definition. A couple of sprouts came up now. Meanwhile, the lettuce plant, filled out a little bit, still had these kind of leafy leaves. And the lettuce plant looked at himself or herself, itself, and said, "I'm getting a little chubby here. I wish I could be tall and slender and thin like that plant." That's going to be a basketball player, right? Meanwhile, the onion is continuing to grow as it would. And it looked over at the lettuce and says, "That lettuce is kind of buff. Here I am, this scrawny thing. That lettuce is going to be maybe a weightlifter or something. I wish I was more like the weightlifter." Now, if either of these plants had been New Thought plants, they would have decided that they should start doing some affirmations. Right? I want to be more like the lettuce. I want to be more like the onion plant. Okay. But no matter how hard they worked, they couldn't be like the other. So time went on. The onion plant continuing to grow tall and thin. The lettuce plant getting a little more hefty every day. Each looking at the other, comparing the external of the other to their internal, and wishing they could be different than what they were. Well, the summer went on, or time passed, however you want to put it. And one day the master gardener was working in the garden, picking the weeds and stuff like that. And he says, this lettuce plant is looking like it's about ready to be harvested. And they both plants heard that, and they says, what is this harvesting? I don't know what that means, And again, the poor onion said, maybe he's ready to be harvested, but I'm just this skinny, scrawny thing. So a day or so later, the gardener came and cut the head off the lettuce and looked at it, and it said, this is one of my most beautiful heads of lettuce, and went away. And the onion kind of tended to droop a little bit and thought, well, he didn't harvest me, so I guess, we're just going to plow me under or whatever. I'm a failure. The next day, the gardener came and he dug up the onion. And he looked at the bulb of the onion and he says, this is one of my most beautiful onions. And took it away. Now, as with every parable, one can add your own lessons to that. But let's kind of think about this perhaps from a spiritual perspective. Just as the plants have a seed, we have our spiritual DNA. That's our seed. And it's going to say, there's a book or a discussion in the Bible about the different seeds landing on different soils. We're not going to go there. We're just going to talk about our spiritual DNA. And that spiritual DNA drives us to be who we are. No matter how we compare ourselves to others and how we do affirmations and how we wish, we cannot be another. We can only be ourselves. I think a couple of weeks ago, Reverend Kamatara was talking about the near enemies and talked about the joy. One of the goals is joy. It says comparison kills joy. Well, that's what we do, folks. We look at someone else's outside, and then we look at our inside and all of our deep, dark secrets and past. We go, boy, I wish I could be like them instead of like this. Sorry, your spiritual DNA is determining what and who you are. But just like the plants, as time went on, they both reached maturity, and it was time for harvest. The same goes with us. We are going to arrive at our maturity no matter what. We can't prevent it. We can't resist it. If you recall last Sunday, Randy Granger was talking about the reluctant oak tree and how, all the way from acorn to large tree, the acorn and then the sapling kept resisting, not wanting to be what it was destined to be. And I don't know if that applies to any of us, but I know it applies to me. Last December, Science of Mind magazine talked about the spiritual hero for 2024 was Dr. Jean Houston. And so there's some readings from the interview with her that I want to talk about. It says, a favorite spiritual practice of Houston's student is cultivating a relationship with the entelechy, if that's the way it's said. It's a Greek word that means the fullest realized essence of a thing. She calls this the evolutionary lure of becoming. She teaches there is a highest version of ourselves, always beckoning the current version to come forward into fuller expression. I call myself a co-conspirator with God. Because between the two of us, we're working in my best interest. Now, the little ego, I, whatever, may not always agree with this. But down deep inside, I know that that's true. And we also know that no matter where we are, the next best step is always right in front of us. Now, as we go through life, we do run into situations where it doesn't look like this is all unfolding in perfect divine order, correct? And sometimes we have to be convinced that what's unfolding is in our highest and best interest. But I submit that all we have to do is study ours and others' history. And many times we've said this ourselves, and we hear other people say it, that was the best thing that happened to me. Now we just need to say that as the situation is occurring, not wait 20 years or 20 minutes from now. So today is the best thing that's happening to me, no matter the appearances. If we approach everything with this curiosity that Einstein has mentioned, why is today the best thing that happened to me? You know, what's going on here? You know? I know that Reverend Kamatara in her talk, again, the Near Enemies talk, she talked about the spiritual bypass. Everything is fine. Everything is wonderful. Everything is beautiful. Nah. You know, that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about this inner knowing that comes through as inner peace. It may not always be easy to get. But as we build our spiritual practice, it is easier to touch as we go through things. So kind of along the same lines, I say from a soul-centered perspective, everything which comes into our field of experience is part of the spiritual life plan that we put together with this group of co-conspirators I was talking about. We, our soul, we attracted these experiences for our own growth. From the truth and the soul perspective, this is all good and exactly what we need. And like the reading says, one might ask, how is this the highest version of myself beckoning the current version to come forward into fuller expression? How is this? Can we adopt a practice of greeting everything with gratitude and the feeling and belief that it is the most magnificent opportunity we've ever had? You know? At least if we can't do it right now, let's help to clear our past, if you will, and look at some of the stuff, you know, retrospectively or that happened in our life, and then re-examine it again with this sense of curiosity and a knowingness that it was or is in our highest and greatest good. Always. I mean, you know, you can take the intellectual approach and you can say, Why would Spirit, God, the oneness, want anything different for each of their beloveds? Maybe ask yourself, how is this, whatever I'm going through, teaching me to be more loving? Ooh. You know, the Course of Miracles says everything is either love or a call for love. So the other day, there were at work, there were a group of us who were kind of complaining about a decision that the boss had made. And I found myself getting sort of wrapped up in the emotions of his, that kind of thing we sometimes do. Just sort of jump down there in the septic tank with him. And then later on, I was away from the situation. As a matter of fact, I don't know if this happens to you, but I was washing my hands, let's just say. I wasn't thinking about anything else about washing my hands. And there's a mirror over the sink, and I looked up there, and I thought, I trust that the boss is acting out in theirs and the company's very highest and best interest. Who am I to second guess them? I thought, man, I kind of, just went off the track there. And so I'm going to apply this more generally, shall we say. So who am I, the egoic I, to second guess this consortium of God and my higher self? So this is the point where many of us will say, well, this sounds good, but. How do we walk in this confidence on a daily basis that my highest good is unfolding? How can we truly feel that the universe has my back? Because it does. We believe it. How can we deeply know everything I participate in today is little me drawing closer to capital Me, the I am? Are there some activities we can do, perhaps? Maybe help us? We all know about the power of intention. There's books written on it. It seems like on our Thursday night meetings, every time we turn around, they're talking about setting the intention to do this or setting the intention to do that. So why not set the intention every day, every morning? Today, I want to see and understand how whatever is happening is in my highest and best interest. And maybe you could kind of even role play it. Perhaps that's the right expression. How does it feel to walk in the feeling that everything is going my way? As somebody says, your shoulders kind of lower a little bit. So practice doing that. And I know it's the same for me as it is for everybody else. You get in the midst of something and you forget all these things. Less so now. Less so now. When you forget, so what? Oops, I forgot. But now I remember it. Good on me. Pretty soon, it's no longer 20 years. It's no longer 20 minutes. It's no longer 20 seconds. It's no longer 2 seconds. It just becomes a part of who you are. I used to talk about, and I mentioned this in Early Birds today, that's some of the other, it's amazing and expect it, is I was reminded of something Geneva used to say, or I used to say about Geneva. She's like, Geneva could drop into prayer at a moment's notice. Oh my, blah, blah, blah. Just a minute. Let's have a prayer. Right? You all are practitioners. You can do that too for yourself. So I want to kind of wrap the parable of the two seeds with what Dr. Houston was saying. And that is, you come in with your spiritual DNA, as I mentioned, and with a mission programmed in. It's like your computer program. And that mission was developed and set into motion by intention, study, and counsel with all of your favorite counselors before you were born. And now all you have to do is allow your higher self to draw you toward that mission. You know, I know many of us knew what we wanted to be. You know, what do you want to be when you grow up? We knew that from an early age. Some of you knew you wanted to be teachers, musicians, what have you. When I look back at my career path, it sort of seemed like I just stumbled upon from one place to another. I got here, but, you know, it was, you know, I thought I was going to do this, but it's never like I had that clear picture. I always wished I'd taken one of those classes or courses, you know, where the tests where they say, you know, what would you be best at? Because the choices I made they weren't bad. It's just that I kind of wish I intellectually knew better why I made those choices. But anyway, we're actually now also talking about our spiritual mission. And at an early age, did we even think that was a thing? Did you think, oh, I have a spiritual mission in life. I wonder what it is. Yeah. Oh, what is our spiritual calling? I was going to say, what was our spiritual calling? But, you know, it's in present tense. And how could I find out what it is? It's a mystery, right? And maybe it's too late after all. You know, we are seasoned citizens. Well, I'm sorry, folks. We all do have a spiritual mission. Whether we knew it or not, we've been called and pulled toward that for our entire life. I submit that you are here today. I'll say you pre-planned it. That because you're here today, that's what I meant to say. Because you are here today, you're hearing this message. Your mission is to be a light bearer for the world in transition. And I don't think I need to say any more about why that might be needed or why you might be needed. And we all have different opinions as to why we're needed, but it's very clear that we're needed. It's obvious that humankind is struggling with finding its way forward through what they're experiencing. This article on Gene Houston talks about this. It says, we need this divine support because ours is an era of phenomenal change. What Houston sees as the most radical deconstruction and reconstruction the world has ever seen. She paints a picture of our human family as guests at a wake for the way of being that has been, ours for hundreds, even thousands of years. But we're also guests at a massive birthing that has never been seen before, she says. And that is why you are among the most important people in history. For what you do with your lives, your professions, your belief, your being, these are vitally important. Houston says the ultimate answer for her is simple. Go back to oneness. And I don't want to sound like a broken record, so bear with me. But last month I spoke about being a spiritual first responder. And while that seems like a big job, the first and maybe the only step is for you to do you. Capital Y-O-U. I encourage you to do it daily with intention. As she says, everything I do today is my higher self drawing me closer to oneness Everything I do today is my higher self drawing me closer to oneness. Put that affirmation on your mirror and read it every day. And if you set that intention, you will remember it exactly when you need it. So in closing, some of you are familiar with the book The Shack, right? So here's a little exchange between the person who you'd assume was God in the book, the personification anyway, and the character who was struggling with some things. And she or God had said something, and the other character queried her, and she responded with, "I have no favorites. I'm just especially fond of him." And he said, "You seem to be especially fond of a lot of people." He observed with a suspicious look, "Are there any who you are not especially fond of?" She lifted her head and rolled her eyes as if she were mentally going through a catalog of every being ever created. "Nope. I haven't been able to find any. Guess that's just the way I is." That's just the way God's Spirit is. God is especially fond of every one of us. Every one of us is beloved. Without you and me, the universe would be incomplete. The concept of oneness means every one of us. And so it is. So let's just take a moment. Whatever came up for us as we were speaking today is exactly what's important at this instant. Whatever that is, it is ours to process. It is ours to answer with curiosity, knowing that it is all coming from a place of divine love. We are all so very beloved. No matter if we think we're too fat or too thin, it doesn't matter. We have that seed within us to be the greatest me I can be. I can't resist it. You can't resist your calling. That calling never dissolves. It is always there, waiting for each and every one of us to open our minds and our hearts to that calling, to accept our own magnificence, knowing that that is our calling. So we take this energy of prayer that is contributed to by each and every one of us here today and watching on Zoom and even watching in the future. This energy of the group is also a healing energy. And I just want to take this time to send out this healing energy to all of those we know are looking for their understanding of that right now. No matter what is appearing in their life, those are mere facts. The truth is that every one of us is a divine being following a unique path, going through experiences, continually being drawn to our own greatness. allow yourselves to accept your greatness. Know that this is yours to do. So we just release this prayer into the mind of God, knowing that all is well in the kingdom. Everything is unfolding in divine, perfect order. There's nothing else for us to do but accept that beckoning. Come closer, my beloved. So we release this prayer. We accept with gratitude the results because we know they are wonderful. They are beautiful. They are perfect as we are. And so it is. All right. Oh, we have some guest music from someone who's not quite a guest musician. It's so good to see you, Barry.
It's good to be back.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely beautiful. And now it is time for our offering. And it looks like Sharon will be bringing the basket up and around. As we acknowledge and receive our virtual and in-person gifts, we give great thanks for the offerings already given and those we will be receiving, because we know that giving and receiving are both part of the one flow. We affirm that we are also part of that flow. We bless these gifts and know they are multiplied throughout our community. There are a number of folks who have contributed to the production of this service, and we're grateful for all their service. And I want to take a moment for all of us to show appreciation to Edward for a great talk. And to our beloved Barry for wonderful, great music. And to all of us whose words come through us from Spirit to help us all. And there's not a time that I'm not looking at one of these little books or other things that come our way to read that we both and all quote from, that I'm not thankful for the people who put in writing what was happening to them so that can go forward and help all of us. And that is something to be thankful for as well. And of course, we thank our great tech team, not a job I could do, and everyone, Sharon, and everybody who contributes to all of our wonderful little Wellspring family. We thank you for joining us today in Zoom land and here in the sanctuary. And lastly, stay around in the Zoom meeting after service, or visit or join us in the social hall. So please stand if you're able and read with me the benediction, followed by our congregational song. Spirit in the midst of us is mighty. Joy, peace, and eternal life are our true nature, and flow through us into the world. And so it is.
Now there is peace on earth, and it has begun with me. Now there is peace on earth. You and I